ahead. Ewok, could OA be stacking to increase the bags because it will collateralize pDAI with Maker, but wants to keep bags of HEX to protect the price in the future, like what the OA was for? So another way just to summarize this, like a lot of people have been panicking, like, what does this mean for pDAI? Like HEX had to collateralize pDAI. Now it's not going to happen. And I think what it is for a lot of like anti-pDAI trolls to come out and just pick something, like people who have always kind of shit on it and been against it, to pretend that this might have something to do with it. But not even all the HEX stakes are long enough where that can't be done, first off, and it doesn't need to be collateralized just with HEX. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, and what do you say to Viper Styles here?
Well, I've brought this up in the past. I don't think the intention was, if there was an intention, I don't think it was ever to fully collateralize it with just HEX. I do believe HEX incentive, Pulse X, Pulse Chain, and now maybe even Most and Pump. Who knows what all kinds of collateral, but I don't think you ever want to collateralize a token with just one type.
Right.
So either way, as a stake, there is no way to take out a loan once the stake has been made in the contract. If it were made in the Hedron contract, that would be different, where you could collateralize it for certain things. You could sell it for the ICO, so to do different things. That goes way down the rabbit hole. However, now there is really, unless you create another contract, there's really no way to collateralize T-shares from stakes within the original contract. I know there are some other protocols out there that kind of do it. I don't know a whole lot about them, but as far as I know, I don't think this has anything to do with the pDAI, as much as it does to chop the inflation down. He said it himself, inflation can ruin currencies. Originally, the thing he was preaching was, well, Bitcoin did its best when the inflation was the highest, and there's also a lot more users that are buying Bitcoin, right? I mean, there are millions and millions and millions of users purchasing that kind of inflation every day, even though there has been halvings every 4 years, halvings. So I think this has everything to do with, let's stop the people from making the chain bleed for a little bit and see how that shakes out. Let's get some more people that are staking, because now this isn't enough. Let's hope they stake more. Let's hope they stake longer. And the price can actually have a chance to run a little bit.
Well said. My question to you is, how long do you think, and you kind of touched on this, like how long do you think this has been planned by the OA, or like that maybe it was known that this could always be a possibility, like if you needed to do something like this. And I wonder how much of it is like, I have this trick up my sleeve in case it ever needs to be used. But is it also just like current market conditions? Like you just alluded to the fact that we know we have a whole bunch of short stakers right now that are just dumping the yield like monthly and stuff like that. But not just that, not just like what's happening in our ecosystem, but also this all happened right after RH went on that tangent about like Vitalik and ETH being dog shit and trying to be kumbaya friends with everybody and not doing anything for themselves. And L2's like extracting all this value from them and everything. Vitalik selling on everybody's heads. How much do you think is also just due to that it's like, you know what, we're going to make something happen in this ecosystem, since we're waiting around for Ethereum, which has just been crap the entire cycle so far, which, again, like I said at the beginning, I think we definitely need Ethereum, obviously, to do well, to get to certain heights. Everybody in the altcoin space does, but go ahead. Yeah. I mean, I think RH is saying like Ethereum shit or get off the pot, and like, what can we do for this ecosystem right now?
Right. And, I'll put this up in the background. People can kind of read it as we talk, but this is the second time this has happened. A lot of people maybe weren't around for big payday. Everybody thought they were going to get all these tokens during big payday, and the OA stepped in and made a bunch of stakes and lessened it by like 2/3, I think, of what people initially thought they were going to be getting. because there were so many short stakes that were just staked for that day to gain a bunch of yield in order to dump it. Well, I mean, as long as we've had HEX, we've had the OA, and the OA has always been benevolent. It's always been a benevolent protector of the ecosystem. So I think people need to kind of step back and say, well, he ruined the yield. Well, I think there's more at play here. There's other reasons we either may know about, may have speculated on, but there is definitely more at play. And the OA only steps in really to protect what's happening. It was a good thing then. People hated it. They didn't like it. They thought they were robbed of it, but that was because their intention was to dump it. So, when it's almost like the government, when they get caught stealing, the one screaming foul, the largest or the loudest, are the ones taking the most money. So you kind of have to look at this chain the same way. The people that are upset that the yield has disappeared are the ones that were dumping it, or had planned to dump it, or whatever it may be. So, just I think it was another benevolent move the second time that the OA has had to step in and right the ship a little bit and get things headed in the right direction. And you're right. We obviously can't rely on Ethereum to we're going to make our own bull market. And I think that was kind of the statement saying, we're done waiting for you. We're going to do this ourselves. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Here are the things that you can do to make things better. And I think he's kind of just giving everybody a blueprint on how to make their chain better and make the prices run. So
yeah,